Okay, thank you, STLTV. The Housing, Urban Development, and Zoning Committee meeting for July 12th, 2022 will come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cohn,
Present.
Vice Chair Coder,
Here.
Alderwoman Boyd, Alderman Ryan,
Here.
Alderwoman Evans, Chairwoman Davis.
Present.
Board President.
Alderwoman Boyd is present. I apologize.
Thank you. 5 present, you have quorum.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Thanks, members of the committee. Good afternoon, everybody. I think we've only got one item of business today, which is Board Bill 52. But before we get to that, I will entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the July 7th, 2022 HUD's committee meeting.
I move to approve the minutes of July the
7th.
7th.
All right.
Second.
It's been moved by the Alderwoman from the 27th, seconded by the Alderwoman from the 19th, that we approve the July 7th, 2022 HUD's committee meeting minutes. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cohn,
Aye.
Vice Chair Coder,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Ryan,
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans, Chairwoman Davis.
Aye.
5 aye votes.
All right, by your vote, you sustain the motion of the Alderwoman from the 27th and approve the meeting minutes for July 7th, 2022. With that, we'll move on to board bills for review. I believe we only have one today, and it's the Alderman from the 25th Board Bill 52 relating to a special use district. Alderman Cohn, we'll turn it over to you. Actually, before I do that, it appears the only people signed up to speak are zoning staff. I don't believe we have any members of the public speaking. So, Alderman,
There should be one member of the public speaking, Nate Lindsey.
Okay, sorry, he's not on my list, but I see he's on, and he can certainly speak.
Okay.
And I see him on. He is on as a presenter here, so that's good.
Okay.
Go ahead, Alderman.
Thank you. It's actually my great privilege to be here today. We have been working on a special use district in the Dutchtown neighborhood for quite a while now. I think my first request into the planning department and zoning to initiate this process was maybe 10 or 11 years ago now. It's quite the feat that we're here today. I want to acknowledge a number of people, certainly the staff in the planning department and the staff in the zoning department, as well as my constituents and various neighborhood organizations, including Dutchtown Main Streets and Dutchtown South Community Corporation, for their participation, leadership, and engagement throughout this process. It would not have been possible without any of them. We've obviously throughout this process been able to engage with residents as well, to learn more about what their desires are and how we can make the Dutchtown neighborhood a friendlier place to open and do business, but also help to start shifting the activity from vacancy into creative reuses of some of the buildings that we have along the Virginia, Merrimack, and Grand corridors. With that, I'll turn it over to some of the folks that have come here to speak on behalf of the bill. And I suppose I'll turn it over. I believe Jonathan Roper is here from planning.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair and aldermen and women. And my name is Jonathan Roper. I'm a senior planner with the Planning and Urban Design Agency with the City of St. Louis. Do I need to be sworn in or anything? Don't.
You don't, Jonathan. You're city staff. You go right ahead.
All right. Do you mind if I give a presentation and share my screen?
That'd be just fine.
All right. Well, thank you, Alderman Cohn, for that introduction and allowing me to discuss the Dutchtown SUD for Board Bill 52. We start with what a special use district is. It's a special zoning overlay. So zoning usually is how you're allowed to use the property or land use under what regulations. The special use district goes above and beyond that, where it looks to modify fewer regulations under the traditional zoning code in a particular area where it either responds to different issues as well as it incorporates and furthers some type of adopted plan with the city. In this case, just take you to the area of Dutchtown. As Alderman Cohn mentioned, we're in the Dutchtown area primarily, where we have, and these two are maps of the proposed area, where we have South Grand, Merrimack, and Virginia as the main corridor. The area, just a little about the area, between the three neighborhoods that this SUD covers, there's around 27,000 youth, 27,000 residents, around 6,000 youth. So you'll hear things about how we're trying to incorporate youth activities as well as accommodate a lot for services for people as well in this presentation. The areas it covers is Dutchtown, Mount Pleasant, and Carondelet neighborhoods. The SUD itself is 91 acres in total. And the two zonings, the primary zoning districts, as you see on the right side, in the pink, it's F neighborhood commercial, which allows more neighborhood commercial uses, and B2 family, which primarily is for like single family and small multifamily residential. In looking at a special use district and the analysis, we look at not only the neighborhood plan, which we'll get to in a second, but also what's called the strategic land use plan. That started about 20 years ago now. It covers every parcel in the city. It's designated some type of land use, generally speaking, whether it be for something more like housing or local commercial, to areas like downtown where there's bigger high rises, has a different designation. So in this case, on the map, this is the Sloop, or the strategic land use plan, where primarily it has the yellow, the pinkish color, yellow, and I highlight some of these pictures of what exists in these designations. So in the yellow, there's a number of properties that are either single family, multifamily, or multifamily with ground floor commercial. Where the yellow is intended really to be residential, commercial, even institutional, that serves the immediate needs of the area. In this case, as you can see with the number of vacancy and board ups, that this designation is not living up to its true name. We then go to the neighborhood commercial area, which you see more in the pink area here. And it looks like it's kind of doing the same thing, where you have a number of properties that are either vacant, boarded, or even a little bit of trash filled, or both as well. Some of the other ones include the Sloop designations include opportunity area. This right here includes the former Cleveland High School, which closed in about 2006 or so. And you can see it down here. This is Grand at the bottom here, and here's Merrimack. So this site is included. I would also note that there is a Chapter 99 blight and redevelopment plan in play here. On this particular map, these dotted lines at the bottom here. Well, I'm sorry, let me start over. On this map shows the boundary of the SUD. The green shows the Dutchtown Community Improvement District. The hashed gray lines show where the Chapter 99 redevelopment plan is. And these diagonal blue lines show where there is also the Dutchtown Jefferson neighborhood plan as well. going more into the Gravelways Jefferson neighborhood plan, it calls for a number of things. Actually, it calls for a special use district for live work, particularly calls for a number of things that support the neighborhood, the youth population, even looking at, because it's such a dense area, a lot of people reside here that it considered a TOD area, meaning, more paying more attention to how people get around besides vehicles or in addition to vehicles. So a bus, walk, bike, and how those experiences are pretty pleasant. And we want to support development on commercial corridors, lower substance abuse use, support the local artists and food, and implement this called crime prevention to environmental design standards as well. There was a number of studies that we had on in this area, particularly to find out what issues. And looking at SUD, it's not just that you want one and you get one, it's you also do an analysis to see why, what are the issues that's preventing kind of the fruition of whatever the land use should be, and try to amend those things. So we looked at the number of vacant boarded parcels, which at least in the SUD, there's around 426 parcels today. About 20% of those are vacant. There's been a number of homicides, and between the three areas, the neighborhoods that it's in, there's been at least 100 homicides since 2017 in the area. There's been a number, we looked at crime from police data, CSB, Citizen Service Bureau request, what the land uses are. We even looked at, the youth-related activities that are in the area, and also the parcel square footage. Parcel square footage is looked at particularly because different items in the zoning code are based upon square footage. So with Dutchtown having a number of parcels being smaller, also just note because many of parcels in Dutchtown are 100 years or older. So a lot of these older historic properties, which are smaller, really sometimes have difficulty accommodating the newer zoning code and activities. There's been a number of issues that have been looked at in here. So some issues for uses, we're very close to schools and major youth populations. So needing those uses that respond and service those type of populations. Also, I will note there's been several places like the school that has closed in the area. So actually, just give me 1 second, please. I'm sorry about that. Thank you. Yeah, thanks for that comment. There's while there are businesses that are there today, there's for the amount of people that are in the area, there are several business types that are severely lacking. That was also one of the items that Dutchtown is planning activities that they're doing now is with the Dutchtown main streets and the Missouri main streets, and they did a retail analysis on leakages, or where retail leakages are those that someone living in Dutchtown will have to travel outside of Dutchtown to fulfill. Their opportunities showed that there's a number of retail uses and grocery stores and restaurants that Dutchtown could support as well. There's a number of other items, difficulty in reuse or rehab partially due to the age of structures, along with being designated an opportunity area, HUD census tract priority area. So meaning that the levels of income afford them for additional types of government assistance. And as Alderman Cohn noted, I just want to note these two big partners, in addition to many others in the community that has helped out, Dutchtown Main Streets and Dutchtown Community Corporation. And Nate Lindsey is here, and I'm sure he's eager to speak later too. There's been a number of outreach in the process that we have done. Here's some of the items activities that we have used to outreach to the community, from public meetings, one-on-one meetings with community organizations. We also did have a public hearing at the Planning Commission on June 8th of this year. Oops. Now, at this point, I'm going to go into some of the permitted uses that the SUD is looking to establish throughout the area. So in this case, in looking at the number of people who return to service, and youth included, what kind of planning activities they have going in place, and also the services or lack of that they have, or also the aspirations that the neighborhood has. These are some of the items that we feel as though that can go throughout the district as permitted. And I'll just note with zoning, usually there's either uses that are permitted, uses that are permitted by condition, or uses that are prohibited. So in this case, these are all the ones that would be, in addition to whatever is there today, these would be permitted. So we're looking at things like art galleries and studios, which goes back to the Gravel Jefferson plan. It talks about, supporting artists. There's a number of items: delis, cafes, grocery stores are an interesting one that we recommended, as we put some criteria on those grocery stores and convenience stores. Grocery stores and convenience stores really being that the area is looking to, the issue with convenience store and grocery stores today under the definition is that anything that from your corner store, a corner store can look the same as a big Schnucks grocery store. The size is really the difference on those two. So what we went ahead and did with this SUD is we looked at it and we put also the conditions that we're really looking for to permit grocery stores that have like fresh baked goods, ready to go meals, prepared meals, and restricts, if you're a permitted grocery store, we would restrict the sale of tobacco. So you just could no longer bring a grocery store and sell tobacco and be permitted, because part of the trying to get lower the substance abuse, but also a healthier area. Those were the conditions that would fit the SUD. There's a number of these that would also go to conditional. Some of these in the black are uses today that are allowed. However, they're being put with more condition on them. So in this case, a convenience store would be conditional that offers fresh fruits, vegetables, hot and cold prepared foods, baked goods, does not sell tobacco. What would be prohibited would be any other kind of convenience store. I would note with the analysis on these, stuff like convenience stores, cell phone pager, a lot of these already exist in a neighborhood. So it does not limit the ones that are there today. It just limits additional types of stores. Some other items like candle manufacturers or glass blowing shops. It gives to this theme of what's called artisan manufacturing, where it's less obnoxious gases and noises, but it's more small scale. Could even be, small computer chips or like just little things. But artisan manufacturing is one that we added near to. Prohibited in the special use district. And a lot of these go to either, while they might be permitted under the F district in general throughout the city, and this particular area of Dutchtown, we're looking at either their issues or they just kind of go against the plan. So we're looking to prohibit these items. For example, one of them are motor fuel pump stations or gas stations. There's about 3 or 4 in the area. So in limiting future ones, it's not limiting the residents today's right to get gas. There's plenty of them. However, we have seen, this is one at Grand and Virginia and Bates, is that a lot of these uses also can tend to or could have the impact of going away from the plan. So in this case, this gas station here has had multiple homicides over the years and a lot of crime in the neighborhood. So, and also it's kind of auto-centric. Some other uses, we try to more so activate the storefronts. So you see like public storage and warehouses here, where they traditionally they might generate people coming and going, but traditionally someone drives up to them in their car and unloads and leaves. And they're usually not really, you can't window shop at a public storage or I would certainly hope not, because I want my stuff to be secure. So home occupations is another one that we are looking to regulate differently as well. In the plan, the Jefferson neighborhood plan talked about live work units, having people be able to work at home as well as live there. So in this particular case, zoning already allows for home occupations. This one here would do two things. It would permit it would change some regulations, but also even restrict even further. So for example, buildings like these two on here, which are kind of eyesores to the neighborhood. A lot of people want them to be, put into better use. So this would allow home occupations. Well, they're already allowed to go in, but it also looks at allowing customers by appointment. So right now, home occupation just couldn't have anyone. They're not supposed to have anyone, period. This would allow, if you're some type of shop, that someone, one person comes in, sits down and leaves. We limit the hours to 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Currently, home occupations really don't have a time limit on them. So this would also limit them as well. We would hope to, because a number of properties in this area are commercial/residential. So we would really hope to, with the home occupations, A, to fill some of the vacancy, and B, like I mentioned before, there's 27,000 people in the 3 neighborhoods. So we're trying to give more services to the people in the area. Some of the other regulations outside the uses are things like parking minimums. Parking minimums have been has to be modified. So in considering the plan, noting this to be more of a transit-oriented development area where you want to accommodate vehicle traffic, but it's not all about vehicles. So walking, bikers, people in strollers with dogs. So what we want to do is to really increase that sidewalk activity. We also have a robust collection, a really intact collection of really old structures and buildings. So with some uses, when they want to demolish a property just for parking, it really takes away from what the city as a whole, that unique collection of old buildings, but also the Dutchtown walkability feel. So this would, on the other hand of it, it also would help businesses because a lot of the properties are pretty small in footprint. So they might have trouble with complying with parking minimum standards. Again, a lot of these places were built in the 1910s, 20s, 30s, way before the car volume that we have today, including before the zoning code. So what we want to do is to have these businesses reduce we want to make it easier for them so they either A, don't have to go secure a variance, which takes time and energy. If the plan already says, hey, consider a TOD area. But on the other end, if you had to have parking and then you had to buy 2 properties, one is your main building, the other next door that you have to then demolish and make a parking lot, that's an extra additional cost on a business owner too. So reducing those keeps the historic structure intact, reduces the demolitions for parking, and accommodates the small parcel sizes that we have. The other regulations include landscape buffers. So if you are going to do a parking lot, if you're going to do a new parking lot, it requires that you have trees, a certain spacing for trees and bushes around it, just to increase that feel. Also, one of the other items in the Jefferson plan talked about, the tree canopy, the shade, the comfortability of people. So that increases that. We look at full cutoff lights for parking. So on the bottom left here, what full cutoff does, it still illuminates the area, but it just aims the lights down. So someone in a house next door or two really is not just getting this jarring light in their face. We also look at wheel stops, putting wheel stops at the end of parking spaces, keep overhangs or keep other cars from hitting sides of buildings. Also looking at dumpsters and refuse enclosures. So keeping a standard on what they need to look like. And those are all existing pictures in the Dutchtown area. Also, there's a height of no more than, so right now, the height maximum, I should say, is no more than about 45, 53 feet or in 3 stories, so no more than that. There are different buildings currently that exist that are taller than 3 stories for one. We felt like the 6 stories in this would accommodate some of the opportunity that we have, like the Cleveland High School site. If it would make it easier for a height, or we just want to, if someone were to come in with a proposal for the field at Cleveland High School with a, let's say, housing development or something, if they can go to 4 stories, no problem. That's what we would encourage, because we want to, use that redevelopment of that site. I'm not saying that needs to be housing, but if it's made into a garden or whatever, but at the same time, we want to try to be, proactive with the development that's being sought here. Fences, looking to prohibit, limit the height to 4 feet in front of the building line, and also prohibit barbed wire fences. There's only a few cases that exist, but we really want to prohibit that style there. Other regulations, signage, we want to limit the amount of signage that a building can have to only 30% of all windows and 40% of each window. What that does is it allows for people to see inside a building as well as see out. So there's an extra sense of security. If you walk into a building or window shopping and you can't see in, then you might not, or you might be discouraged from going in. Or concurrently, if someone who's wanting to be mischievous, it gives them shield and cover, because they know they can walk in. No one's going to see them on the street. Even if a police pass by in a car, they're not able to see them. So it gives a little extra security, and also a little bit of security and just a little design as well. And finally, I would say all the uses that would become either prohibited in here or would be considered legal non-conforming, they would be able to stay as long as they didn't discontinue their operations and have a valid occupancy permit. This also lowers the days from grandfathered. If you go out of business tomorrow, this lowers that time where you can find another user from 1 year to 30 days. What this accomplishes is those uses that really grandfathered in, because they're probably less welcomed in the district. It gives them less time to turn around to sell to someone else to make the same use, and it almost, in theory, forces them to then sell to a user that would comply with what the district would want to do. So with that said, I'm happy to answer any questions. Nate Lindsey, he's a Dutchtown, downtown Dutchtown president, is on the line too, who's been extremely and instrumental. He's extremely important and instrumental in this process. And I'll just noting that this, zoning map amendment, the planning commission passed it on June 8th after a public hearing. You find it in conformity with the strategic land use plan, the Gravelly Jefferson historic neighborhood plan. And with that, I'm open for any questions or comments. Thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. Why don't we go through and see if anyone's got any questions, and then we'll give Mr. Lindsey an opportunity to speak. Chairwoman Davis, any questions?
I don't have any specific questions. Jonathan, I always have to compliment you, because you give very succinct presentations, and you don't go so far with the planning jargon that we can't understand. This is very thorough, and I'm so happy to see the planning department has more planners. They're in neighborhoods, they're talking to people, and this is wishful thinking for our city to actually get it right. So thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alderwoman Boyd.
I have no questions.
Alderman Narayan.
No questions. Thank you.
Alderwoman Evans.
No questions. Thank you.
And then Alderman Cohn, I'm sorry, I skipped you. Do you have any questions on your bill?
I don't have any questions of myself or of Jonathan. Thank you.
Okay. Well, then with that, I guess Alderman Cohn, you want to turn it over to Mr. Lindsey?
Sure, that sounds
Okay.
good.
Nate, if you could.
I'll just give a brief introduction. Nate is a resident of Dutchtown. He and his wife live within the said footprint. They're also within the footprint of the Community Improvement District. And Nate has been involved with the Neighborhood Business Association and was instrumental in getting it involved with the Missouri Main Streets Initiative, and actually ended up changing the name of the organization over to Dutchtown Main Streets. So he's current president of Dutchtown Main Streets. And as Jonathan mentioned, he's been very active in organizing the neighbors around Virginia, Merrimack, and Grand for this effort. And along with Anissa McCaskill from the Dutchtown South Community Corporation. But I'll turn it over to Nate to say his piece.
Thanks, Alderman. Nate, real quick before you go, would you just tell us the 100 block you live on, and then we're going to swear you in.
Yeah, so I'm speaking on behalf of Dutchtown Main Streets. Its address is 3207 Merrimack.
Perfect. And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, go ahead.
So thank you to Mr. Roper. He is very thorough, and so I won't be long here. But the community really relied on the Gravelly Jefferson Historic Neighborhoods Planning Initiative to establish the special use district and the substance that it contains. We try to be very intentional to try and have zoning that encourages incremental development for our small businesses, lower the barrier to our residents creating those small businesses, and then really trying to have an entrepreneurial environment that supports equitable growth for everybody that's in the neighborhood right now as it stands. We think we have a great neighborhood, and we think that the special use district will hopefully only make it better. And so with that, I'm also happy to answer any questions. But I hope you all support this community-led effort in conjunction with planning from the city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lindsey. I'll just by show of hands, any committee members have any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, Alderman Cohn, you're recognized to close.
Thank you, everyone, for your time and consideration this afternoon with respect to Board Bill 52. And I just ask for your favorable consideration. Okay,
Chair will entertain a motion. Alderman, you want to just go ahead and make the motion?
I would love to. I make
ahead.
a motion that we pass Board Bill 52 out with a do pass recommendation.
Second.
Second.
All right, it's been moved by the Alderman from the 25th, seconded by the Alderwoman the 19th that we adopt, what is this?
Pass out Board Bill 52 with
Yeah,
a
Board
do
Bill
pass
52 with a do
recommendation.
pass recommendation. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Cohn,
Aye.
Vice Chair Coder,
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Ryan, Evans,
Aye.
Chair Lady Davis.
Aye.
6 aye votes.
Okay, by your vote, we've sustained the motion of the Alderman from the 25th and passed Board Bill 52 with a do pass recommendation. Thank you, Jonathan and Alderman and Nate, for joining us today. Looking at the rest of the agenda here, I don't believe we have any resolutions. Any committee discussion? Anyone have anything on their mind? Okay, not seeing anything. I believe we're all here today, which is great. Any announcements from members of the committee? Okay, seeing none. With that, the Housing, Urban Development, and Zoning Committee meeting for July the 12th is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.